Native Americans, which I was surprised. It costs all of us tax-paying citizens $16, those who are up to $50,000. Post office costs you $12. I did not know that. I thought post office was self-sufficient.
This is brilliant because you think about it. When we balance our checkbooks at home, sometimes when we pull our bills together at the end of the month, you're like, wow, I had no idea I spent this much on food. So what do? You put yourself on a diet or you start to watch where you're spending your money. The reality is we can't relate to what state budgets are doing. We can't relate to what national budgets are doing because we just simply don't understand where the investment goes. By opening this up, making it transparent to the American public, we can make educated decisions about where our money should go, rather than have political discussions about it all day long with no results.
This is fantastic. For instance, people believe that you cannot touch Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security is simply because, that's so necessary. And then you can only cut the rest of it. Folks, when you look at this, there's not much rest. Most of it is in those few programs that the government is pushing. And that's when you will for the first time see that, wait a second, we need to get handle on these entitlements. Because the first 9 or 10 items are entitlements. I can't believe, and I really think this will go a long ways. Just a receipt will go in a long ways in trying to make everyone understand how they get affected by any government program. You can certainly keep the good ones, and you can certainly kick out the ones that you don't need.
If you think about it, we have to show all of our receipts to the IRS. Why not have the government show us the receipt for where our money gets spent? I think it's brilliant. Well, folks, if you are a shopper like me, or if you pay attention, you might have noticed that a lot of stores are changing their logos. This happens a lot when you have an economic downturn and an upswing. Companies will split apart, they'll merge. And when they do, one of the first things they do is rebrand themselves because they want to go out with a fresh new look, fresh new face. Well, folks, you've now seen several new logos come out recently, including the Gap, Starbucks, NBC Universal, Walmart. But have you noticed something else? It's not just that the logos have changed, but they're actually a little more curvy, a little more rounded than they used to be. Well, this is not a coincidence, folks. There's actually studies done to show that by changing the logos this way, they make the brand more appealing to international countries. This is great. This came out of Time magazine, where research found that angular logos were changed to rounded ones, which were more appealing in countries like India and China, which have cultures that tend to be more interdependent and collectivist. And again, places like Starbucks, they're trying to grow in places like India and in China. In fact, in China, they want to triple the number of stores by 2015. So by putting these new logos out there, they're hoping that people will embrace the product and the brand. I mean, you always think these logos are just so arbitrary, but they're not. There's a lot of research and marketing that goes behind.
A lot of research. The colors in particular, you see a lot more reds and blues.
So if you keep your eyes open, you'll start to notice these kinds of logo changes, and maybe you'll find yourself being more attracted to a brand because of their changed logo. Here's one that I thought that was interesting, Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yes.
Kentucky Fried Chicken has gone over the years to becoming KFC, to getting away from its fried chicken piece, right? And so now KFC is one of the fastest growing brands in the world. And in order to appear more healthy to consumers across the world, they've adopted KFC, which I think is kind of funny. Something else I didn't know. Did you know that Subway has officially overtaken McDonald's as the largest fast food chain in the world? I didn't know this.
Oh, I rebranded back in the 99 when I went from HR General Maintenance Corporation to HR GM Corporation. Had a logo and all. So it's purpose
art
changes,
and it's science.
You have a little bigger footprint. Yeah, you change your logo to reflect that. This story is from Gulag to Glitter. Basically, there's a 9 square miles area in Siberia full of snow. They're going to turn it into the Las Vegas. That's where the gambling will take place. They're thinking of putting in about 9 casinos. Presently, if you see the village, you'll say, what? But, Russians want to do this. Almost every country. Singapore now has a casino, even though Singapore is one of the most conservative countries in the world. Of course, Macau is near China. They have casinos. Almost every country is licking their chops to see if they can have a casino. Because, particularly in the East, folks are gamblers. Let's face it.
Well, Vegas, right? Vegas was constructed in the middle of the desert
to
be an oasis because there was nothing there. So by putting the city there, now it's a destination.
That's right.
So this will become a destination. But, it is kind of funny because Vegas went from being the it place to go to then it was Dubai, was like the playground of the rich. Then it was Macau because it was a new next big thing. So I think this is perfect. This is actually a smart idea.
In this particular place, by the way, stripping will be allowed.
Yes, but they'll have to take off a lot of layers first. It's cold in Siberia. Well, folks, did you know that there are now more foreign-born scholars that lead U.S. institutions than ever before?
Yes.
This is one of our favorite topics here on Darshan, but this has some real statistics behind it. The Association of American Universities, which represents large research campuses in the United States and Canada, said that 11 of its 61 American member institutions now have foreign-born chiefs, presidents, and so forth. That's up from 6 just 5 years ago. Now, isn't that interesting? When you see names like Nitin Noria, who's now the dean of Harvard Business School, he was brought in. To bring a fresh international perspective to the university. And in fact, that's what the article here in the New York Times is saying, that it's not just the fact that we have an increased presence now of international students at a lot of our universities. Think about just the University of Maryland right here in Maryland has a huge contingency of Indian Asian students within its engineering ranks. So it's not surprising that you see a lot of our professors become Asian or Indian, and then eventually get to positions of leadership. This New York Times article actually focused on one of the professors I knew while back at Maryland during my tenure, Dr. Nariman Favardin, who is now the president of the Stevens Institute of Technology in Hoboken. He spent 26 years his career at Maryland, but he's just one example of many professors that are now leading these top institutions. The point here is universities are starting not just to bring in students into faculty from overseas, but they're hiring directly into these positions of leadership because it's the quickest way for the university to get that global infusion and that fresh perspective by hiring right at the very top.
Well, one thing you got to remember, most of their education after the undergrad happened here in the United States. So they are homegrown. They may be born somewhere else.
They're hybrid. I think they have spent enough of their lives living somewhere else where they experienced a different kind of educational upbringing.
Yeah.
So their mindset, their value structure, and their emphasis on certain things is different than what your upbringing and your education gives you here. So you still have a high